Welcome everyone to our Meet the Candidates night. I want to introduce our moderator, Emily Hauser. She's here from the League of Women Voters, and she'll be taking our questions for our candidates for tonight. If anyone has questions, I have cards. If you raise your hand, I'll bring you a card and we can submit questions from the floor.
And this is Bobby Goodman.
Yes.
Who is?
PTA Council President.
Thank you. I'm from the Mid-Hudson Region League of Women Voters, and the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influence public policy through education and advocacy. I'm going to just go over the rules. First of all, we're going to all turn off our cell phones. This man here is filming the entire proceeding, and he will play it back in entirety, so we don't want to have anyone recording just parts of the of this night. So I ask everyone to turn off their phones and not to tape or photograph, or not to film or record. The candidates have drawn cards to figure out the way they're going to speak, and so they're going to start from my far right and come across, and they're going to have 3 minutes to introduce themselves, and then we're going to ask questions from the floor. That's why we need your cards. And we have my colleague Sarah here taking timings. So Sarah's going to show you the cards. So you're going to have 3 minutes for your intro, and Sarah's going to show you the cards. So Sarah, show the cards. So you're going to, after 2 minutes, you'll get your 1 minute warning. After 30 more seconds, you'll get a 30-second. And the pink card says that you need to stop. So thank you, and I'm sure you'll be fine. And as we go through, we'll ask the questions, and then if we may be able to just, have a conversation. But why don't we start out this way? So for introductions then, we're going to have Denise Berry start. So you can go ahead and start.
I'm Denise Beery. I've been a community member and active in the school district since 2002, since my daughter first entered the school district. Since then, I've been involved in many aspects of the school district, as well as just the community in general. And I've been involved in PTAs all along the way. I've been involved in booster clubs. I've been involved in the drama club, and really just anywhere else that I could kind of push my way into. My kids are older. I've been coming to board meetings for quite a while. I'm really interested in the way that the district runs. I felt like it was time to contribute on a different level. I'm really interested in being on the Board of Ed to learn even more, about what goes on and how I can be even of more use to our students and to our community.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Zagorski.
Yep. Hi, my name is Mike Zagorski. I've been living in Hyde Park for 18 years. I have 3 kids. One graduated from FDR in 2008, and she's a teacher now. I have 2 kids at FDR, a freshman and a junior. I'm also a volunteer firefighter with Roosevelt Fire District. I volunteer for a lot of sports and athletics organization, Little League, travel softball teams. I'm not as active as Denise is in the school district. Some people asked me to run. Thought I'd be good at it. I looked at it, and I thought it'd be an interesting organization to be a part of. I thought Hyde Park has always been a good school district. I'd like to see what I can do to help contribute to make it even a better school district than it is.
Mr. Daniel Duffy?
Good evening. My name is Dan Duffy. I'm currently a board member. I'm seeking re-election to a 6th term. I have been a resident of Hyde Park since 1968. I had 8 children graduate from the school. The latest ones graduated in 1998. So they're all adults now. They all have children, and they're all starting to see their children starting to move into the elementary school system. So I do get calls asking me about questions going on in their school districts. I'm running again because I've had great experience, and over the last couple of years with the tax cap, I think we need to function with an experienced board to delve into and to stay within the tax caps. It's important that we stay within the tax caps and keep our budgets down at that level, or we'll be really handicapping our kids over the years and having a problem. I feel the most single important contribution the board has made recently is through its cohesive efforts. We have been able to balance the administration, the staff, and the instructional people to provide a balanced program for all of our students, the advanced students, the handicapped students, the general student. We need to deal with all of them. And we've identified significant ways of monitoring these kids and understanding when they're in needs of help. And we've installed enough programs now, I think, that we're able to support any needs of our kids. It's important that we provide the kids with the opportunity to go on to wherever their life wants to take them and they want to go, whether that be college, training, or right directly into the military or even to the workforce. We need to provide them with the skills they need, and I'm not sure that the current Common Core standards necessarily address all of those issues, so I want to put my 2 cents in regarding that as we go along. And finally, I've continued to lobby in my years on the board to try and shift some of the funding for school districts onto something other than property taxes. I don't think it's an equitable way of funding our schools, particularly when you look at the vast difference in even from Dutchess County down through Westchester County in school districts and the availability of funds to support the kids and their needs. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Kalia Henderson Murphy.
Good evening, everyone. Of course, my name is Kalia Henderson Murphy. I'm very new to this community. I've resided here in Hyde Park for 2 years now. I have 6 children, 4 of which are in the Hyde Park Central School District. At this immediate moment, I have no issues with the school district, and my children take advantage of everything accessible to them, and I appreciate the district for that. I'm encouraged to run through advice of my oldest and feel that with a voice, we can have change where necessary, but I'm an open ear and full support of our children because I believe they are our future, so I'm here to learn, to grow along with this community and help where help is needed.
Thank you. Could I have some of the index cards? Thank you. So then the next time we start, we're going to start with the second person. The next question will be for the directed first at Michael, and then we'll go around. And I wanted to know, one of the questions is how involved are you? How many Board of Education meetings or how many PTA meetings have you attended? And it says this year, but you can expand on that. So, Michael. Mm-hmm.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm not very involved. I've only attended a few board meetings. PTAs I have not gone to. My wife is an active member in the PTA, but I haven't been going to those. So,
Okay. Mr. Duffy?
Being a current board member, I've missed 1 board meeting this year that I'm aware of. I've also part of 3 committees, so I typically meet at least twice a month on one of the committee meetings for dealing with board issues.
Kalia?
I've attended one board member meeting, which was last month, which was very inviting to me, which has also helped encourage me to be sitting on this panel today. Unfortunately, I haven't been an active member of the PTA, and I feel extremely guilty looking into your eyes to tell you that, but not to say that I'm not willing to participate, but being at home with two extremely young children, it makes it a little tedious, and I'm trying to begin my business at home that I do as a caterer, Lady K's, not to plug myself, but to plug myself. But I'm willing, and I'm here, and I'm able.
Thank you. Denise Berry.
I've been an active PTA member since 2002. This year, I've missed a couple of meetings, I'm sure, but I'm very involved with our current PTA at the high school, which is where my current student is there now. The board meetings, I have not been able to come to as many of them this year as I would like to come to. I've been to a handful of them, maybe, but I do watch them online, and I, go through the agendas, and I do try to stay on top of what's been going on.
Thank you. The next question is, what is the main thing that you feel needs to be fixed or changed if you become elected to the board? So just one thing, and we will start with Mr. Duffy.
Right now, I feel that the most significant item that I think needs correction or fine-tuning is the tax cap issue. I mean, right now, we're faced with the law as written. We can wind up with a negative tax cap, which means we'd be giving back money or going with less of a budget than we had last year. I know there's legislation in place right now to try and correct that, but I also feel that with the tax cap as low as it was this year, it needs to be reconsidered as to the way they determine what the max tax cap is in an area when there's very little inflation going on.
Thank you. Ms. Henderson Murphy.
I was so busy listening to Mr. Duffy's answer. Can you please address the question again?
Oh, okay, sure. If you had one thing that you would want to see changed or fixed, if you're elected to the board, what would that be?
If I had an opportunity to make that decision, honestly, it would be based on the complaints of my children. And the primary complaint is the water that comes out of the water fountains and them not having accessible to cold, good-tasting water. And maybe adjusting or getting help with how we can fix the food that's really a problem to a lot of these children, and they feel they're not given a healthier alternative as it is proposed. So I'm on that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Berry?
I think one of the main things that needs to be fixed isn't tangible. I think one of the things that we need to work on is our, cooperative effort and communication with the community. And that's not necessarily to blame the board for any of that or the administration for any of that. Our community needs to try to be more involved. We need to find ways to somehow get them more involved to help us with the issues that are going on in our school. That's just an ongoing issue. That's what I would say. I would like us all to get more involved, not only on this board, but in our community.
Thank you. Mr. Zagorski?
So I would have to say that it's not really a fix, because I don't think it's totally broken, but more of an improvement is really the overall education. The reason why we're in business as a school district is the education of our children. So making, higher graduation rates, college placement, whatever we can do to make that a better experience for the kids as they graduate. That would be my improvement/fix.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is, can you explain, give us one great program or effort that your family has experienced that's been part of the school district? So let me say that again. Tell us about a exceptional program or effort that was part of the school district that your family has experienced. And the that question is for Miss Henderson Murphy.
One good program that my children definitely benefit from is the STEM programs. It's very intricate, especially in today's world, as advanced as we are with technology. To put that into the schools at a younger age is very important, and having with that program with the North Park Elementary, well, all the elementary schools in Hyde Park, Camp Invention, that kind of sparks the children very young and understanding the purpose of science. And it all works together with engineering and mathematics, and the importance of it, it'll help them excel. So I appreciate that and would like to see that go even further. I appreciate the fact that STEM is intricate in Haviland and they provide boards to give them a program for that. So I like that program.
Thank you. Ms. Beery?
I think my family, hands down, has benefited from the arts program at the school district. My children had the opportunity to get introduced to things that my husband and I would never have been able to do. Not only do they have excellent academic programs, I mean, that's obviously the most important thing, but by being exposed to the theater program, by being exposed to the music program, they've been able to explore things that we never could have exposed them to. And as a result, it's shaped what they want to do with their lives. So I think the music department and the arts program in general is just outstanding in this district.
Thank you. Mr. Zagorski?
So my best experience here has to do with athletics. I don't know if any of you remember, but at the softball field at Roosevelt used to just be a field with 2 benches. And it was a great example. The Booster Club got involved, the community got involved, donated a lot of materials and time. We had full support from the athletic director and the board. In a very short time, we raised a lot of money and were able to put the field out there for, which was probably the best field in Section 9, if not in, the whole Dutchess County. And that was a great way to demonstrate collaboration between the community and the school district and parents. Everybody got involved to make that happen in a short time. So that was a really good experience.
Okay, I have a question that I'm going to rephrase a little bit so everyone can answer. I'm sorry, Mr. Duffy. I'm so sorry.
Well, like Mike, I've had great experiences, not inexperience, but great experiences in the sports program. The experience, though, has been great in the sense of what it's done in the growth of my children. It was an opportunity for them to learn how to balance their time between academics and activities. It's a way to keep them active. It was a way to get part of a team and develop team comradeship and team planning and teamwork together. And they really grew with that program. And as a second program, there is a combined English and Social Studies program, a honors course at the senior level that they participated in, where they not only got to learn, but they got to experience. They got field trips. They produced videos of what they were doing. They explored topics that were a little bit beyond where they were, and it was a wonderful program, and it's been staffed since my kids took it till now with wonderful, wonderful experienced teachers that allowed them to grow and allowed them to venture forth and learn what was ahead of them as they went to college and the opportunities they could take advantage of.
Thank you. Now I'm going to rephrase this question. Would you please talk about the tax cap and whether that is a positive or negative issue for the school district? And I'm going to start with Ms.
I think it's me.
Denise Beard.
Well, I think like most people, I still find the tax cap a little bit confusing. And, you know, I peruse over the budget all the time and try to learn that. I know that it's a real difficult thing for the school district to do, to manage the budget and to stay within the tax cap. I would have to defer this question. I would have to say that I just constantly need to learn more about it, and I know that it's a challenging thing for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zagorski?
I agree, too. It's very confusing, trying to understand that year to year, and why it changes is not something that is easily understandable for the general public. And I think it could work both ways. I mean, I think it's good that we have a cap, that taxes aren't, you know, just running rampant, but I think it could work against us if we try to accomplish things in the district that are outside of that cap. And you know, that's based on the stuff that I've read and have been following throughout the years, that it could work both ways. But I definitely need to understand more about it.
Thank you. Mr. Duffy?
Well, as I indicated before when we were talking, when my introduction, I feel the tax cap needs to be adjusted as it is right now, because there are situations in the tax cap that we're heading towards that would create even more difficult problems for the district in containing a budget and continuing the programs we have. We're at this, in this district right now, and have been for a couple of years, at a point where we're on the edge. By the time we try and balance the teachers and the staff's right to continue to get a living wage and the needs of the student for programs, there's no maneuver room whatsoever left to provide that within the current tax cap. So I think that needs to be adjusted. It has had benefit, though. It has brought back the public, I think, in the state to have a little more confidence and a little more belief in the district in terms of the fact that they're not seeing the double-digit tax increases that they experienced and could not understand when they weren't getting it. Now they see us getting raises and increases within the district that are smaller than, that are the same size they're getting in the outside world. But it's be a lot more difficult as the economy starts to expand to stay up with it again.
Thank you. Ms. Henderson Murphy?
Like the first two candidates, I'm not well versed on that subject because I don't have a complete understanding. I pay my taxes, and I appreciate the fact that I have an excellent school district to provide to my children, because I've come from areas where the taxes is extremely high and I never saw the benefit versus the taxes in the school district. But there would be needed more evaluation on my behalf to be able to say yay or nay for that subject at this moment.
Thank you. Are there any more cards from the audience? Any other questions that you want to write down? Any from the students? Now we're going to have to ask the really hard ones then.
I hate to be, sound like a moron, but can somebody explain to me what the tax cap is? I don't even understand what the concept of the tax cap is.
Okay.
Well, I could start. Basically, the state has said that districts, your municipalities, your library boards, anything that is considered a taxing district can't raise their taxes more than a certain percent every year. So it used to be that some school districts would, have 10%, or your city, town, municipality would be able to just raise their tax as far as they wanted, that they thought they could not have the public go crazy, I guess. So that's the tax cap. So it used to be that.
Number though? Like if
Yes.
you go X percent.
Yes. It changes, but it's about 2%, or it's been at 2%. Yeah. So-
I'm not hearing anything on the camera that's not spoken.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Okay,
But I do think it
So-
could go above the cap, but you need special vote or permission or something in order to go above. But it's not locked, and that's it.
The tax cap is basically derived from the inflation rate as determined by one of the monitoring items that the state decided on as to how much inflation had gone up in that particular year. You cap the district's increase based on that percentage. The maximum it can go to is 2%. Currently, in this year, I think it's 0.22%. Based on what inflation was. That's the maximum you can increase the tax levy in the current year. If it goes over that, you have to have what they call a supermajority to pass the vote. You must exceed 60% of the votes cast to pass that budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question about opting out, and it's my understanding that opting out is when there's specific tests that are given to students. Everyone, there's a day where everyone is taking that test and parents can opt out of that test. And the question is, do you support the parents' right to choose to opt out of New York State testing? And if so, or if not, do you feel it's important to share the information about a parent's right to let them opt out? So we are going to start with Michael Zagorski.
So I'm going to answer part 2 first. Yes, you should definitely share what a parent's right is. That shouldn't be kept secret. The parents should know what their rights are as far as opting out goes. I know there's a lot of controversy around opting out. I try to follow it. Personally, my kids take the tests. We don't opt them out. They don't want to opt out. They take the test. I do feel that there's probably too much emphasis on these tests, whether you take them or not. I think that the teachers are spending a lot of time preparing for a test that then people could opt out rather than classroom education. So if they could focus a little more on the education in the classroom versus all these tests that are causing all kinds of angst on everybody's part, I think overall that would be a lot better for the students.
Thank you. Mr. Duffy?
There's no question that the district and the board has an obligation to provide the parents with the guidelines of the opt-out procedure and the fact that they have a right to have their students opt out. There has been a lot of controversy about it. There has been a lot of concern and angst about it. I find that the testing, I believe, involves too much time out of the classroom. It also involves too much uncertainty in the way the tests were formulated. The rollout of the Common Core standards were too quick. The implementation of the exams were poorly handled in terms of even the quality of the exam. I mean, one of the basic things you expect when you give a student a question is that they're able to read and understand the question. And if you give a third grader a test question, that the vocabulary for that sentence is rated at 5th or 6th grade, what kind of expectations would you have for a correct answer? And what would you expect the result would be on the child? It was done poorly from the beginning, and I think in some ways it has some merits, but as it was implemented, I have very little faith in its accuracy, or very difficult to believe we could extract everything we should be getting out of the money we're spending on the testing.
Thank you. Ms. Murphy Henderson. I'm sorry, Henderson Murphy.
That's okay. I definitely agree with both Mike and Mr. Duffy, primarily because teachers tend to get quite absorbed with teaching the test, where you lose out on the curriculum, and then kids get these jitters when it's time to take this test. They get so anxious, and not everyone is a test taker. So to understand that this core exam is required in order to prove that the teacher is teaching correctly is doesn't make much sense to me. My children do take the test because I feel it's a test at school, do what you gotta do. But I support parents, and I would not want anyone to not support me in my decision that I make for my children. And I would never not disclose information that is meant for you to know. So yes, I do agree that you must tell the parents what they need to know and what their options are.
Thank you. Ms. Berry?
I absolutely support the parents' right to opt their children out of testing, without question. That is a decision that should be made by the parents. That being said, our district has an obligation to help them with that decision and to make that decision as easy as possible in whichever way a parent goes, whether to take the test or to opt out of the test. So that's to that question. As far as the tests, there's a lot of controversy about them. We all know what that is. And I think we need standardized tests. We have to have them. Absolutely. We have to have some measure to make sure that we're being accountable for meeting the standards of education. So that's without question. This whole movement started because of these specific rounds of tests. So that's another whole issue that I think everybody's addressing all the time. But the parents' right to make the decision to opt their students out is definitely their right.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask this one. What is the greatest capital need in Hyde Park School Districts at this time? And how should this need be addressed if it's not already being addressed? So pick something that's not being addressed. So this is a question about capital needs, capital projects. And we are going to ask Mr. Duffy to start. Did I have that right? Yes.
Yeah, it's sort of a relevant question at this time because we just completed our building condition survey, which is a requirement of the state every 5 years to bring in an independent architect to review the buildings and identify the things that are required to be fixed in the next 5 years. Interestingly enough, and I wouldn't say not surprising, is the fact that the architect hit upon most of the items that the district had already been planning on dealing with or working on. Several of them have to do with student comfort or safety. The building roofs, obviously for our buildings, and we have a building, every building is 40 years or older, and that needs to be done. We also, the building heating units and control systems are all in poor shape, and they're being worked on. We've already worked in completing a capital improvement of the Haviland Middle School. And the third thing is the water situation in the district. Water supplies in several buildings need to be replaced. Plumbing items in several buildings need to be reworked. And the bathrooms need to be upgraded significantly, particularly the guest bathrooms. The facilities available for people visiting the buildings are in very poor shape. And any one of them could result in significant cost to the district. If they're not taken care of, and they will result in some significant cost to take care of.
Thank you. Ms. Henderson Murphy?
I'm not as well versed on what is the need for our budget at this moment. I totally agree about the water quality because that's the main complaint. I have my children fighting over taking bottles of water out the house to bring to school because they don't feel that the water is of great quality. And I enforce water is important. But at this moment, if any district capital need lacks funding, I would be willing to modify our overall budget and to accommodate those that need. So once I'm taught the necessities and we are to agree upon certain things, I think I can make a positive decision in the well-being of how the budget is set aside to fit those needs.
Thank you. Ms. Berry?
Obviously, the most important thing is, the definite needs, the things that safety issues and comfort levels, like Dan said. What I'm faced with every day is what's going on at the high school. There's tons of work that needs to be done at that high school. We've already addressed a lot of things at the middle school. We addressed things at the elementary schools. I think the high school really needs some focus now. Steps are falling apart on a most basic level. The heating system there really needs help. The kids are wearing coats in the winter. Fortunately, this winter it was nice and mild. Kids are wearing coats in the winter in their classrooms. The water issue is a constant issue. Our science labs need work. On a more cosmetic issue, our auditorium, our lobby area needs tons of work. So I would focus more on the needs of the high school at this point.
Thank you. Mr. Zagorski?
So as Dan mentioned, we just did, Elliot and his team, along with an outside architect firm, did a lot of work to come up with a list of the must-dos in the district, things that are falling apart, things that need to be fixed within the next 5 years. They did, whatever the state required, they submitted I don't know how many 100-page document listing everything that's out there. I think that list now needs to be prioritized to figure out what are the hottest things that need to be fixed within financial guidelines, right? We just can't fix everything. It's just too expensive to do it all at once. But I also think we have to look at not the must-dos that Elliot and his team came up with, but also modernizing some of the classrooms, right? We have, the science and technology areas, I think, are original in the high school. I think they need to be brought up to modern-day standards so that these kids are able to experience the science and technology of what it would be like in the workplace, not something that it was like in 1940, right? So it has to be the combination of what the must-dos are and what we need to do to make the environment better for the kids.
Thank you. Besides your family and neighbors, where will you get information to meet the needs of the entire district? And, yeah, that's the question. So we are next at, Miss Murphy Henderson, right?
Henderson Murphy.
Henderson Murphy. I'll get it right.
Seeing that you don't want us to speak to our neighbors who have voices, I would first step.
Oh, I meant your family. I didn't mean your neighbors. So I just wanted you to go beyond your
I must have been talking about my kids too much.
Circle, your immediate circle.
Got you.
Tell me how you're going to broadly represent and get how you're going to get information to broadly represent
First,
the district.
I would reach out to the community some way in a public place, have some forums open so people could have freedoms to speak and reach certain topics of importance, take down notes, and when it's time to approach those questions with the board and the superintendent, I would make sure that those key notes are spoken about, and I wouldn't leave anyone astray to feel that their questioning or their inquiry involving what needs to be done for our district would be ignored. I will definitely have no issue in voicing anyone's concerns and am willing to do so once I am made or informed of those said issues that they would like addressed. But I would reach out to my community, speak to the faculty, go to the school, sit down with the staff, and find out, because everybody has a voice. Everyone wants someone to stand and advocate, and I'm there. I want to be there.
Thank you. Ms. Beery?
I just think I get that information all the time, every single day. I'm everywhere. It seems like, I'm in the halls of the schools, and the kids are talking to me, the teachers are talking to me, the custodial care are talking to me, the lunch staff, the food staff is talking to me. The parents are talking to me at all the events that I'm going to. I'm at a theater event, I'm at a sporting event, I'm at a PTA event, I'm at a music parents theater event, or a meeting, I'm on a field trip in the grocery store. It seems like there's always something to talk about, you know what I mean? We're all in this community. So, that's kind of the nice thing about it is, you hear from so many different people, you get this vast assortment of issues that everybody has. Everybody's got their own, pet thing that's going on. And that's the way I like to be. I like to hear it from everybody. I hope to bring that to the board. That's what I want to do.
Thank you. Mr. Zagorski?
Along the same lines as Denise, I don't think I have to look far, because as soon as the newsletter came out that showed I was running, I get approached all the time now. Not even a board member, and if I'm at the gym or if I'm at the grocery store, a sporting event, the custodial staff, everybody now wants to share what needs to be fixed in the district. So it's not like I have to go looking for information. People are finding me, and I'm not even a board member yet. So.
Thank you. Mr. Duffy?
My experience has been just like theirs. We've made many changes since I joined the board 15 years ago, but the places where I hear the most and learn the most are the places out in the community that I am daily. Stop and Shop, church, athletic events, musicals, concerts. The areas where you're mingling with the crowd, they seem to be the face-to-face contact. Seems to be the preferred way of communicating issues and questions, because I guess they feel that they get an honest answer at that time, and they can tell, what's going on, and I can communicate to them what can be done and what I will do, and what is being done possibly about an issue that they're unaware of that we're already working on. The board has published email addresses that people can communicate to us on the internet. My phone number, house phone number, is on the website, so I can be contacted that way also.
Thank you. I have a question that the question is, I'm going to probably ask this as a two-part. Is the diversity of the teachers and staff reflective of the student population? And if not, how would you work to improve diversity in the teachers and staff population? So the next question is, the first person to answer that will be Ms. Beery.
I never know how to answer that question, really. I see diversity, as something different. I see diversity as, I don't know. I don't look at that. I think we're all so different. We all have something else to bring to the table. We all have something to bring. That I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that question.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. Zagorski?
So I have no idea if the diversity of the staff matches the diversity. I don't know. I've never seen
Okay.
that data published, so
Yeah.
I just don't know if it is representative of, a match. And I suppose, as with any business, that's a focus area for any business, right? So if it is something that, needs to be addressed, you probably get a committee or somebody to look at that and see what steps, what programs we could put in place. Are we recruiting from the right schools? The new teachers that come out, are we recruiting the right way to balance that population? So, but I just don't know enough about it to
Okay,
say anymore.
thank you. Mr. Duffy?
If we're talking about diversity of teachers representing the students, no, I don't think we have a balance. If we counted at how many had 3 fingers and we checked the teachers with 3 fingers, or how many had 7 toes and we checked the students for 7 toes, we wouldn't have a match. I don't know that we can ever get a match. I mean, the diversity that's occurred in this school district in the last 5 years, in my parish in the last 5 years, is just amazing. We're seeing ethnic groups represented that we've never seen before in the 45 years I've been in this district. We're seeing changes in the economic situations for students of the families that have been here. I mean, there are many, many families in this district that have experienced downturns just based on the economy that have had significant issues, and how do you match that? But I'm not sure that's important. What is significant is that we can establish a connection between the staff and teachers and the students. And I don't necessarily believe that has to be based on an ethnic match or a socioeconomic match. It has to be based on an interest and a conviction that I want to help students, all the time, and convey that message to the students, because if they understand that the people are there to help them, we're going to be able to accomplish our job.
Thank you. Ms. Henderson Murphy.
That question was answered very well by Mr. Duffy in the admittance of diversity. If it compared to fingers and toes, we can all use a little bit more of fingers and toes. Because we have a lot of students that's coming from different cultures and backgrounds, so it all needs to be addressed and put into a melting pot that it is, so everyone can feel completely comfortable with each other and feel when they see, they can see or have an experience from what they see and are encouraged through it. So it is necessary. How we achieve it, we have to come to the matter of minds and understand it and make it happen, because we should be able to address every student and fit every need as their educators, for the faculty that educates at school, as long as what they are getting at home. So I agree that it's needed.
Thank you. I'm going to ask this question is in regards to the more conservative voters in the district and the taxpayers in the district that don't have children. So the people that may not feel that they need to contribute possibly as much as others. So the question is, how would you, as a school board member, explain and prove that the district and the school board is accountable to the citizens, like conservative voters and taxpayers with no children in the school in the public schools? Oh, sorry. Mr. Zagorski.
Okay, so I'm a firm believer that a town school district needs to invest in their infrastructure, whether it be, you know, an improvement on a school like the track football field out back, a new fire station, a new police station. The town school, I use the terms interchangeably, they have to invest in the infrastructure, otherwise they're not going to attract new people to the town to help offset that tax burden that they may have. If we're not attracting younger people, younger families into this district, then the problem gets worse for those that don't have children any longer in the district, because somebody's got to pay the bill, and you want to do things so that, you know, you make it nicer so that people say, oh, I want to move to Hyde Park, you know, look at the football field there, look at this, you know, look at this science program they have. So if we don't invest in that infrastructure, the problem gets worse. And those people that don't have the children have to really understand that, and that's the reason why we try to do things like that, is to make that infrastructure better.
Thank you. Mr. Duffy?
This is a difficult question, because the conservative ones, the taxpayers, they're looking, most of them, just at the financial aspects of it, and the ideas or concepts that they might understand that we always bring forth is, you know, we need to have a good school district to attract people to maintain the property values within the district. We need to have educated people within the district to provide the salaries necessary, because we're to own the properties that we have here and maintain the property values to pay the taxes. There's no doubt about that. We need to graduate students that have been able to follow their dream, achieve what they want to do, and be able to go out and do it here. Right now, I see students being educated, and we're on the wrong side of this. We've educated students that are achieving what they want to, but they're being forced to go elsewhere to be able to do what they've worked on. And that's not helping the district, any of the districts in the area, very much. You know, you keep saying the number of jobs are going up and going up, but, you know, then there's a little disclaimer at the very bottom, but they're a whole different class of jobs and a whole different class of people. And we need to turn that around. And the STEM program, or STEAM program as we're now calling it, which is science, technology, engineering, math, and the arts, is a right step in that direction, because it allows our children to experience a lot of what's going on and decide.
Thank you. Ms. Henderson Murphy?
I wish I could take everything he said and just say it, because I totally agree. But although the discrepancy seems to be that people without children are thinking they're being underserved because they're figuring, well, why am I paying so much and I don't even have children taking advantage of this district? I don't think you should look at it that way. I think although households without children, those households can also benefit because they're investing in our school district. And with that investment, the children are our future, so if you put your investment in them, you can hope that they want to come back to this community and give back to this community or pay homage to this community. And when they make it and they're a success, they can honestly say, I'm from Hyde Park, New York. And you'll be glad to say, my taxes help that. That's how you gotta
Thank
look
you.
at it.
Ms. Berry?
Well, I think there's two kinds of, I mean, everything that everybody is saying is absolutely true, but I think there's two kinds of conservative voters here, taxpayers here. There's the one group where their income has gone down, whether they're, reaching a senior age, and they're literally worried about being able to afford the taxes. The other conservative taxpayer are the people that don't have children in the school district, and they're wondering about all of these things. And I think the best way that we can hope to get their support, to improve our community, improve our schools and all this stuff, is simply to educate them and to really explain things in as clear a way as possible that the district is being fiscally responsible for their spending. When we can prove that we're saving money by doing something and that we're getting a bond, or the way we afforded the track facility, if we can prove to them that we're making fiscally responsible decisions and show that as clearly as possible and sit down and explain it to people, they understand. And they're more likely to work with us than against us.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the audience? And I wanted to say that the board candidates were given a list of about 10 questions, and I've been trying to answer them, ask those as much as I could, and to make sense of them. And I'm going to ask, instead of asking this one, I'm going to first ask you, starting with Mr. Duffy, I'm going to give you the opportunity to answer one of those questions that you felt like I didn't ask tonight. So I can give you the sheet if you need it, or...
We have a question on performance outcomes and equity called. In your professional experience, what criteria do you use to make decisions about hiring people, retaining goods and services, and the effectiveness of the course of action? I question the use of the word professional in the question itself. This is an open forum, this is an open board. We invite anyone who has an interest and a desire to contribute to the school district and help it out, whether they be a professional or not. The second thing is, I think the question leads to a somewhat erroneous conclusion as to what the Board of Education does. The Board of Education does not necessarily get involved in the minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour, day-to-day operations of the district. In truth, we are directly involved in the hiring of the superintendent, and to an extent the treasurer and the district clerk. Those are the people that work for us, and those are the people that we hire. Beyond that, we work with committees that involve board members and the professionals in our district who we entrust to making selections and hiring, and we receive recommendations from them as to who we should hire. We need to pass on those recommendations, but we rely on the expertise of a great staff we have here in making those selections.
Thank you. So I want to repeat that you do not have to answer that same question. You can answer any one of the questions. So you don't have to answer the one that Mr. Duffy selected. So the next question is for Ms. Henderson Murphy.
Okay, one question that I honestly took time about out of this slew of questions was how should in performance outcomes and equity, how should the district balance using evaluations for accountability and using them to help teachers improve? I feel educators should be accountable to an extent. Evaluations normally do not tell the whole story on a particular individual. Educators have guidelines and curriculums to follow, along with dealing with children on all different levels. They have to fit all different needs, and this is one person who's responsible for doing such things. Therefore, I believe that evaluations should not primarily be based on the guidelines, because every individual is completely different and have different needs, and as long as those needs are being met according to the state's guidelines, everything should be okay. Evaluations are enforced to keep everyone on point, but shouldn't be used as a punishment tool. Just room for improvement is what I feel is needed.
Thank you. Ms. Berry?
Can I borrow your sheet of questions? Okay. We talked about a number of these. This one, what information do you have about the district and specifically the area you're running to represent? What does this information tell you about what needs to happen in the district?
I just wanted to point out that you run at large, is that correct?
Yes.
You run at large, so you're not representing a specific area.
No, and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that
didn't
really-
write
that was-
these
that-
questions.
Oh, that was more to my
And I didn't
point.
proof them before I send them to you.
Yeah, that was just
So-
more to my point, is that, you know,
Yeah.
I don't have an agenda,
Okay.
you know, specifically here, you know, I mean, I really just, you know, this is my community, this is what I do, you know, this is such a huge part of my life here in this district and in this community, that, you know, I just like it all. And, you know, I mean, I do, I just want to be involved in it all. And I want to learn more.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zagorski?
Okay, so I would say, what are the outputs that matter most to you? How will you be accountable for them as a school board member? Well, the output that would matter most to me is, again, the kids. And are we putting out students that are going to be well-rounded, productive members of society? Without that, we turn the lights off. There's no reason to be in business as a school district. That should be our first and foremost goal as a school district. And I think we are held accountable, looking at the results. Are the kids graduating, getting jobs, going to college, joining the military, whatever they're doing, they're doing something that's a productive member of society. And we have numbers on that, so it's easily measured to see if the programs we're putting in place are helping achieve that.
Thank you. This is a fairly simple one. I understand that you all do live, or you represent at large, so you don't have, the district is not cut into pieces and you're representing a certain area. But we wanted to know, what area do you live in the town, apparently? I'm from this area, I know that Hyde Park's district is fairly large.
What town within the district?
So what, okay, sorry,
Not
thank
the
you.
area, but town.
Oh, the town, okay. So, yeah, that would reflect on, okay, so the question is, what town do you live in within the district? And the next person to talk is Ms. Henderson Murphy.
From my understanding, in order to become a board member, you must be a resident of Hyde Park, and I am from the town of Hyde Park.
The district is a different size than the town.
Okay,
So if you live in the town of Hyde Park, you've answered your question.
okay.
Okay. Ms. Berry?
I live in the town of Clinton, which, I don't know if you want to expand on that. I know that Clinton's, there's been some controversy, with the town of Clinton and how high the taxes are in the town of Clinton. And being from Clinton, I've gotten to know a lot of those arguments and what's going on. But I also have a lot to say about that with my fellow residents, because I do understand. I understand how the taxes are distributed within our school district area. So I think that's good that I'm from Clinton and not Hyde Park.
Mr. Zagorski
I'm from Hyde Park.
and Mr. Duffy.
I'm also from Hyde Park.
Okay. Great, thank you. I wanted to ask you if you wanted to ask one more question from this sheet, or shall we go to your concluding statements? So,
I think we've answered most of these already.
okay. So one more chance from the audience? Okay, great. Then we will move ahead on your concluding statements. We're going to give you 3 minutes. You can say, repeat whatever you said, bring something up new, tell us more about yourself, what your goals are for the district, and so on. So we are going to start with Ms. Beery. Right?
I would just like to echo Mike's statements previously. I mean, our greatest asset is our students and what they're going to do with, their education and be able to, the buzzwords, college ready, life ready, all of that stuff. That's what we want. That's our goal. We want them to excel. We want them to succeed. I think our greatest asset, in this district, to help that goal is our teachers. We have some great staff. We have some great teachers in this district, and I think we're doing that. We're off the focus lists. Our graduation rates are improving. We're meeting those goals, and I'd love to see that momentum go. I mean, I love the district. I love the kids, and I'm glad that we're doing so well in our academics. That's my real goal. Always, my real focus, aside from everything else, has always been academics. I come here and I fight for academics. I fight about the curriculum and all that other stuff all the time. And I would like to get more people involved in that. I think that's so important. And I'm happy to be a part of it, and I hope I get to continue.
Thank you. Mr. Zagorski?
So I'd just like to say that I'm really excited to have this opportunity to be on the board if I get elected. I think I have a lot of business experience that I could bring to the board. I don't have a lot of the intimate knowledge of the political battles going on in the board, in the school district, and I think a fresh set of eyes coming in is going to be a big positive. I mean, and again, to reiterate, at the end, to make it a better school district, to make our kids, graduate at higher rates and all that stuff, so that people in this area say, oh, you go to Hyde Park, and that's the envy of Dutchess County, is to go to Hyde Park schools and to graduate from FDR. And I really think that I have a lot to offer, to the board, that we can make that happen.
Thank you. Mr. Duffy?
Yeah, I'm proud of the 15 years I've served on the board. I think we've come a long way in those 15 years. We've finally gotten the district, I believe, to a point where the discussions at the board meetings are focused almost entirely on the students, on what needs to be done for them, what can we do for them, how we expand what we can do for them. There have been significant and interesting conversations over the last few years regarding providing the opportunities for the students and to provide the ability for them to follow their dreams. And what I've liked about it is that the area of focus at the start, when I first got on the board, was purely academic, purely college-driven, and we've come so far from that in these years. We talk to students, we work with students to allow them to expand their interest in the arts. We allow them to expand their interest in everything that goes on out there, just to learn, to be educated, not necessarily driven to jobs, because that provides them with an opportunity when they get out into the world to find out what they want to do. There's a lot of students and people out there that work 4 or 5 or 6 years before they finally realize what it is they want to do. And I think we've encouraged them and provided them with the background which would allow them at that point to go back and start their education up again and focus on it. One thing Mike said, it's a lot of numbers out there, Mike. Unfortunately, there's not. It's an issue we've dealt with for several years. It's very difficult at times to track students after they leave school. It's very difficult to classify them according to what the state is looking for graduations. And we've worked very hard on that, and we need to improve on that. We need to be able to keep track of our students that have gone far afield over a period of time to really understand what it is they've done, what it is they've accomplished, and if there's anything they felt they were lacking out there that would have allowed them to go further in the direction they wanted that we could have provided.
Thank you. Ms. Henderson Murphy?
I feel it is very imperative to play an active role in our district, and that is why I'm seeking election to become a board member. I just really want to see students succeed. I mean, that's just the biggest accomplishment ever, and to make us all proud at that success, and it takes us all to make that possible. And there are many issues that need addressing. Parent involvement is key, first primary. Like, as a parent, you have to understand that you're your children's first teacher, and to prepare them to be a success when they do enter school, and work close hand in hand with these teachers that are trying to make your child a success. So I'm in support of all students and all teachers, and give all these extracurricular programs that's necessary that allow a child to want to thrive and encourage them to become a success, and understand that along with their academics, they have to be a success on that front in order to enjoy the extracurricular activities, but them combined together will make them very well-rounded, and that's what I look forward to.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for taking the step to run for the board and for offering your services to the community. I want to thank the audience for coming today and to hear the candidates. And I want to encourage you to vote. Apparently the vote is next Tuesday, and the polls open at 6:30 and they go till 9. So you have a lot of time to vote. 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So you have a long time to vote. And thank you for being engaged in your community. And now back to Bobby.
I agree. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you to all the candidates. Good luck. Thanks for taking that next step. Thank you, Emily, for doing this for me so I didn't have to stand up here and ask all those questions. And yes, I encourage everybody to come out next Tuesday for the vote. And good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.